Hi folks, here we are for another episode of Fading History. We're in the town of Cottonwood, South Dakota. This is in Jackson County, and at a high point this place had about 400 people, and now it's got about 10 or 15, I guess. So we're going to walk around, show you some of these buildings. There's an old abandoned storefront, there's an old church here, a few houses, but we'll mention a few things as we walk around and just enjoy the video. Well, here's one of the old brick buildings here. You can see it's all boarded up. I think this place kind of really got finished off back in the 60s. There was a bar and a post office. And what was the other thing that was? Cafe was still here back in the 60s, but after that it kind of faded away. It's kind of cool because you can see the, well, even right here, this must have been I don't know if that was a gas pump, maybe. There's a cast iron base screwed to the ground, but you can see the sidewalks go right up through here still. And actually you can see them, how they come across from that building, come across the street here, and right along here. There's an old beer bottle or something there on the ground. But right about here is where the sidewalk was. Kind of get a look in here, see what there is. Looks like a metal bracket here on the corner of the building. Even notice this, a lot of people have scratched their initials into these bricks on the edge here. Davy and K, just all kinds of names carved in there. Kind of look in the building here. You can see it was 2 levels at one point. You can see up onto the 2nd level. A lot of the roofing material is coming down. The roof must be out of it. Look at the old woodwork on the window frames. But it's a really cool building. This looks like it was a storefront of some sort. There was a bank. There was a hotel. There was a lumber yard. Lots of different stores and stuff at one point. But all that's gone now. We just jumped across the road here. But anyway, they had 3 fires at this town. One in 1913, one in 33, one in 38. And they did a lot of damage. And then also back in the, I would say probably back in the 60s, they bypassed a lot of this town. There's the voting stuff there. For 2024, you could come in this building and vote still. That's kind of interesting. But that's about the only building that's being kept. Yeah, got the old sidewalk here. And anyway, I-90 kind of took a lot of the traffic away from this area, so I assume that was kind of one of the final nails in the coffin. This is a cool building. Look at all the windows down the side. But that one they've got fixed up pretty good. Here's an old flagpole here. Right there. Get the nice South Dakota sunset coming in there, but you can see there's a really wide cement sidewalk. This thing's like 10 feet wide right here. And then there's one of your main streets coming in. Look at the old porcelain lampshade up there. Pretty cool. I just always like this building. And you know, the purpose of this video, or this channel I should say, is to get some video history of some of this stuff, because like you can see this building here, the roof is gone. That won't be around for much longer. There's a lot of cracks down the bricks and stuff, and we do get a lot of wind, so I'll bet you at some point that whole thing will fall over. And you can see on the side here some painting. I don't know if I can read it, but it says something on that right there. It had blue paint there. Then it's got something up on there. Mortensen, something Mortensen there. And I think that might have been like a general store type deal, but I'm not sure. Look at the old wooden door here, all getting weathered now. And the brickwork. Notice the lighter color bricks above the windows and on the corners of the building. There's where you can see right up see the roof is totally gone. Here is what looked like it was a 2nd story staircase here, and this all fell down. You can see the stairs there. They were pretty heavy wood. You can see where they went up the building. But look at the bricks coming down up top there. That whole thing could just fall right over. All those bricks are hanging off of there. You can see there's quite a pile of them on the ground on this side where they've been falling up from the top there. You wouldn't want to be walking around underneath this thing when it was real windy. You may get cold conked by a brick. This is a good time of year to do this because this place would be full of rattlesnakes and stuff in the summer. So right now we're in a cool time of year. Here's some more sidewalk stuff coming in. You can see there's quite a few foundation spots. That cement thing right there looks like a well. There's a cover under it. And you can see the old outhouses across the street here for this building. One of them's covered in metal, one's wood. So anyway, we're going to jump over to some of those buildings over that way. There's a neat old church and a couple old abandoned houses. Well, we're over here by the old church, and also this one to the left of it looks like the old railroad station. They must have moved that one to become a house because the railroad is way over there. You can see the grain elevators over there and the railroad bed. But anyway, this town has some cool history. Back in 1909, there was a couple guys coming up from Iowa or Nebraska, somewhere down that way, and they were going to plow. They brought a team of horses and they were going to plow land for homesteaders and stuff. Well, they met up with a bad character in Kadoka, which is just a little south of here, and he ended up murdering them both and putting them in a water well. And some other guy come along later on and found them in there, and they ended up catching this guy up by Cottonwood here and put him in the pen at that time. But he actually murdered 2 people and attempted to escape. They think probably for his workhorses, his team, because the guy took the team of horses and disappeared with them. And this is where they caught him, up here by Cottonwood. So it's pretty cool, some of the old history of these ghost towns and stuff. You can see, here's another example. Look at the wood shingles on this place. All the old wood shingles on there. Got the old brick chimney at the back. But anyway, this tower is pulling off of the building here. You can see it's separating from the building. So this is what I'm talking about with the, this history is all fading. And, I hate to see it go, but at least I can get some video history of it before it's gone, because another 20 years, I bet a lot of these places will no longer exist. There's another old building back in there, but I'm just trying to get a good look at the church here. That the back wall is all bowed out. Shoot, that sticks out about 2 feet. And one of these houses, it was, I think, this smaller house over by here. I came by, I used to drive around out here back in the 90s or early 2000s. 20, 25 years ago, and look for just, go through ghost towns and interesting stuff. But anyway, it's kind of funny because I come by one of these houses, I was driving through here, and it looked all, abandoned, but there was somebody's minivan or something from Washington State parked out front. And then I drive by the house, and there were some hippies in there sticking their head out the window looking at me as I drove by. Just kind of a funny story. I never really quite forgot that. It was just kind of comical. So this was a congregational church right here.
1908.
From 1908. We're just catching a little info on it here. And here's another sidewalk going down. You can see also, we're parked right there, and there's the brick store that we're at, but that whole block there was store buildings, different businesses of whatever type. You can see the sidewalk goes down that whole block. So all this empty area here at one point, back when they had 400 people, that was all businesses and stuff, and there was a lot more houses at that point. And here's what I'm thinking is the railroad station. Got 2 chimneys on that one. This town was named after the cottonwood trees because it kind of goes down along the, I think it's, I don't know if it's the Bad River or a creek, but there's a creek, I think, that goes along here, and there's a lot of cottonwood trees, and that's how they came up with the name Cottonwood. Gonna look across here. The whole roof of this place is all caved in too. Look at that, whole roof is about to buckle. So that building won't be around for much longer either. And that's got all the wood shingles on it too, I think. Not hard to tell if there's any shingles left on that one, but the church definitely has wood shingles. And this is all stucco here. And look at even the old water drainage system on the roof there hanging off of there. But anyway, that building's about to about to go to the ground from the looks of it. I don't know if you can look in this window here. And look at the old water pump out here, still sitting on the well there. Unfortunately, it's getting a little dark this time of day, but you can kind of see in there a little bit. And there's another old, like an old homestead shack or something here. Now this one, somebody's put a top on it at some point, put a roof on there. There's some more of that water drainage right there. You can see the gutters hanging off. Now back in the day, it's so dry out here, they could put these buildings right on the ground, so they'd move them pretty easy. They didn't have foundations. They just pick the building up and move it to another place. That's an interesting old building too. Looks like an old homestead shack or something. You can see the, I don't know what that material, I thought it was metal, but it's some other kind of material in there. Anyway, we're going to jump over to this other old house here. Well, on our way to look at the other house, we're just going to scan in here real quick because you can see in the back a little easier here. There's an old stove of some sort, but there ain't much left in there. You can see the roof's all coming apart. Now this house here was one of the more modern houses in town, but that one's all closed up now too. It says no trespassing all over it. But here's another one of the old houses here. This is a cool place. This one's all starting to buckle in the middle too. I don't know if I can get a look for what's inside. This was on some sort of green tile for a footing or a foundation. Pretty dark in there, but all there is a bunch of window parts and door parts. Somebody locked the door there years ago. It's got a padlock on the door, but at this point, it's you can go right in the window next to the door because the window's falling right out of it. Look at the old weathered wood though. This has a great look to it. You can tell where I'm walking was other foundations and stuff. They're just not there anymore. There's the old outhouse out in the back here. You can see that right there. You can see up on the roof there was a chimney there too, it looks like, and that has fallen off. And it looked like there was a covered porch there, and that's all gone too, but that's a really cool place. But from there we're going to jump out to the grain elevators, which are way out beyond that white building. Show you those. going to finish it up down here because we're kind of losing our daylight. We're in the headlights of the pickup right here. That's the bar that was still operation in the 60s, I believe. And here is the old grain elevator. So we're going to go check this out. But there is one more interesting story. There was another case of these 4 hardened criminals escaped the state prison in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And they terrorized their way across the state with people on their tail. And they got to Murdo, which is our hometown, and proceeded to shoot a couple of officers and left them for dead. Luckily, they weren't killed, but they thought they were. They threw them in a ditch, left them for dead. And a posse chased these guys down through Okoton and worked their way up by Cottonwood here. And apparently, I don't know if they were police or just a posse, but one of the criminals got shot and killed. Then they were hiding around here. They were trying to get up to the river bluffs up north of here, up to the Cheyenne River, I guess, to hide out. But anyway, they ended up killing one of them, but then caught the other 3 of them and sent them back to the state pen out there in Sioux Falls. So kind of an interesting story. This was back in 1922 that happened. It was back in the day. There was a lot of things people could get away with back then. You know, you hear about all these stories of Bonnie and Clyde and all these old West outlaws and stuff. Well, that's because it's wide open out here, and there was no way for police to patrol the whole area, if there was police in an area at all. And anyway, they got away with a lot of things back then, robbing banks and doing all kinds of mischief that they couldn't do today with all the high-tech surveillance and stuff. I'm going to look through that there. I just want to go over here. Here's the railroad tracks. We're walking along here. I just wanted to see what this stuff is in the grass right here. Normally you'd have a beautiful sunset here in South Dakota, but it's kind of cloudy today, so this just looks like some concrete that somebody dumped there. And these are some old used pieces of concrete there. Maybe that's from the railroad or from the highway here. I'm not sure. But anyway, this old grain elevator, I don't know when they closed this one, but there ain't much left of it. You can see some cement coming along the grass here. And these railroad tracks right here are pretty well traveled. Those go from Pierre out to Rapid City, so they're pretty well used and kept up in good condition. It's just as many of the towns along them are come and gone, like this one. So we'll just walk around this a little bit, and you know, like I say, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like this kind of stuff, please subscribe. We need to get our subscriber base up. Please give us good comments, give us good feedback. All these things help. Give us thumbs up, and we can do more of these. You know, if we get good enough following, we can do a lot of this kind of stuff all over the Midwest or Western states. We're based out of South Dakota, but we get to Nebraska a lot, Iowa, North Dakota, Kansas, all these different areas. You can see the roof is all coming down there. Much of that's covered in metal, so the metal really saves these places a lot of times. And I don't know what is in this cement little foundation here. Looks like they've been putting stuff in there and use it as a burn pit. You can see the cement blocks are coming out from underneath the building. If it wasn't quite so dark, I could kind of show you in there, but there's some stairs in there. You really can't see anything on the camera because it's too dark in there. So we're just going to head down the road, but thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.